this week, January 6th, was on Monday. And for the first time in this century, Democrats did not challenge the certification of a Republican president. Remember that. The first time in this century. In fact, every other Republican win since 1989 has been challenged by Democrats. And Kamala Harris has made history as the first woman to certify her own election loss.
Majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris.
I had to tap her ass. She had to be pissed off about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's doing her duty, as it were. Kamala Harris deserved every second of that, as she had to sit there and tally each state's votes for Trump. And remember, Democrats made sure to change the rules to where a vice president certifying the election is purely there ceremonially after questions arose whether Mike Pence had any authority to overturn the election results in 2020. Democrats claimed Mike Pence had no authority at that time. Then they changed it once Biden was in office. So apparently it was at least worded in a way that Mike Pence could have done so, just like Trump said. So the irony of Kamala Harris not being able to do anything but sit there and watch Trump be certified was amazing. So it is official. Donald Trump is certified as the next president, a formality that regardless where you stand on January 6th, 4 years ago, it is nice to just see this one go off without a hitch. I will say that. So it was good to see that. No doubt about it.
It's early yet.
At least what we see in the public eye. Now, what's going on behind closed doors is a completely different story.
Not only that, we had most of the protests from the citizens and the public when Donald Trump was elected was on Inauguration Day back in 2017. So, yeah, so that's where it's interesting. We've already got some Democrats talking about how they need to march on to Washington, D.C. We'll see how that ends up going, but that's still 10 days away. We'll have to wait and see for sure. But one person was not happy with January 6th going according to plan, and that was Sunny Hostin on The View. She compared January 6th to the Holocaust, where millions of Jews died, and then she also compared it to slavery. Listen to this.
It's a fine moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history,
here she goes.
Like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery. We need to never forget because past becomes prologue if you forget any race. I want to ask you.
Now, I thought Kamala Harris comparing January 6th to 9/11 was insane.
Yeah.
This tops that, in my opinion. Maybe Sunny Hostin should probably worry more about the RICO case that claims her husband committed federal insurance fraud. The irony of this woman who rails against Americans for voting for the convicted felon could wind up married to one. But I'm sure the court was upholding,
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure the court was upholding justice on Trump, but is corrupt with her husband, though, huh? The hypocrisy is outstanding.
Well, I just wonder how much they paid the judges and the jury off and all the,
But that's not possible because, under Donald Trump, they're just upholding the law. Corruption in our justice system doesn't exist.
No.
But I'm sure with her husband, she'd make an exception. But anyway, January 6th wasn't completely without incident, though. Apparently, a violent insurrection did take place at the Capitol, though. But I warn our viewers, this footage is not for the weak at heart and could be too much for some.
Yo, they were going at it, big dog.
That's the biggest snowball fight I've ever seen in my life.
That's going to be at the Steelers game tomorrow.
So I'm calling that the snow surrection. It may go down as the worst moment in American history, if you ask me. So, yeah. While Democrat officials surprisingly did not challenge the election results this time around, last week, Hakeem Jeffries said that Democrats don't deny elections. We played that for you here on the channel. Apparently, that's the new narrative that Democrats are using in order to try and claim the moral high ground here, especially with their uneducated voters. This week, that line was repeated when Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer also stated this blatant lie.
We hope also we serve as an example to our Republican colleagues.
Kind of quiet.
We are not election deniers. We lost the election. We regret it. But we believe in the strength of our democracy, and that when you lose an election, you roll up your sleeves and try to win the next one. You don't deny that you lost and encourage people to do bad things because you did not want to admit, any person did not want to admit that they had lost the election, even though the fact.
So again, we Democrats don't deny elections, huh? Here is, I'm not going to play the whole 24-minute clip, but here's a couple minutes of Democrats doing just that.
You can run the best campaign,
which we played before.
You can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
How can you win with Russian interference, though?
That's
what
real
I'm
thing.
scared about in 2020.
But rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put in office because the Russians interfered.
Russia interfered with our election, attacked our democracy for the sole purpose of artificially placing someone at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. They were successful.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president or elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president.
I hate these people.
As a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
I have an objection.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina. I object because people are horrified.
He's an illegitimate president.
Our election was hijacked. There is no question. Congress has a duty to hashtag protect our democracy and hashtag follow the facts.
John Lewis is completely right. There is a cloud of illegitimacy around the election of Donald Trump. The Russians interfered with his election. James Comey and the FBI interfered with his election.
He about said erection.
The news industry interfered with his election.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president who got illegitimate foreign help.
Do you believe Trump is illegitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference.
There absolutely is a cloud of illegitimacy.
So that legitimacy is in question, yes.
So that was a very tainted election. And in that sense, it's illegitimate.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he knows he didn't. He knows he's an illegitimate president.
Stolen emails, stolen election. Welcome to the world of unprecedented Trump.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
He tweeted in February 2018, quote, "The more we learn about the 2016 election, the more illegitimate it becomes. America deserves to know whether we have a fake president in the Oval Office."
The Russian attempt to have the election, and frankly, the FBI is weighing in on the election, I think makes his election illegitimate.
There was a widespread understanding
she looks high
this
there,
election was not on the level. We still don't know what really happened, Isaac. I mean, there's just a lot that I think will be revealed, history will discover, but you don't win by 3 million votes and have all this other shenanigan stuff going on and not come away with an idea like, whoa, something's not right here.
Seems to me.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here, only to show you that this has been going on longer since just since 2016. There's been since 2000 and prior even that the Democrats have been denying these elections.
Supreme Court ruled the other way. Al Gore got more votes, but not enough to stay out of the Supreme Court, where President Bush was elected 5-4.
Bush versus Gore. A court took away a presidency.
If all the votes were counted in Florida, that Al Gore would be president today and George Bush would be back in office.
I come from Florida, where you and others participated in what I call the United States coup d'etat.
In 2013, according to reports, Vice President Joe Biden, he claimed that Al Gore was the one who was elected president. And he claimed that the recount result was, quote, a bad decision.
And never forget, dear friends, what they did in Florida to Al Gore and me, to all of us, to older Americans, to African Americans, to Haitian Americans, denied the right to vote and have those votes counted.
I do believe that the projections were right in the first place at 7 o'clock when they called it for Gore.
Let me tell you something. Without a doubt, George Bush did not carry Florida, and it was not close.
There's no question that you won the state of Florida.
Oh, thank you, Charles.
No, it's a question. That's a question.
We will never know because the votes weren't counted. But
and did in your judgment?
I mean, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
You can find this video on X, on a lot of social medias out there. 24 minutes. You can probably find it on YouTube even. 24 minutes of Democrats denying elections over the last 30 years at least. But they don't deny elections, right? Spare me your attempts to claim yourselves as the arbiters of decency and democracy. No matter how many times people like Bill Maher claim that Democrats don't do this, it doesn't make it any less true. They are the OG election deniers. You can keep your pearl clutching and your lecturing, if you ask me. So, yeah, pretty sad. It just feels like this meme here. The party that pummeled America like a battered wife is now telling her to put on sunglasses, hide her black eye, be a good girl, and come together as one. Well, our answer to that is kindly get bent, Democrats. Because, sorry, that's not the way this works. You can't just pummel the Republican Party, say they're this, and demonize them and vilify them and say that Donald Trump is Hitler. And all of a sudden you want to say, oh, we got to come together for democracy, for the good of the country. No, that's not how this works. Sorry. We're not just going to sing Kumbaya and roast marshmallows over a freaking campfire together. Ain't going to happen. Thank you for checking out this clip of the Dragon's Den podcast. If you like what you saw here, please consider checking out our live podcast almost every single Friday night here on the channel at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And until our next video, guys, take care and God bless.